Welcome to the LMU Men's Basketball Report for March 6th. I'm Scott Erlin here with head coach Josh Schertz to recap the South Atlantic Conference Championship and look forward now to the NCAA Tournament. Coach, this past week the South Atlantic Conference Championship underway here, and you kind of rolled through the first two games. Obviously, you start off with a 17-point win over Tusculum here, and then a ridiculous 43-point blowout at Carson Newman. We can get to the SAC championship title game after that, but first talk about those first two games that got you into the SAC title game.
Well, I thought, with Tusculum, we came out and kind of really, went through the motions first half. I thought we were really poor from an energy standpoint, focus standpoint. About as hadn't seen us really that disengaged since maybe the Huntsville game in November. And I thought second half we did some really good things. Tusculum's a team that really we talked about as explosive offensively, and we were just fortunate first half. They had some really good looks, didn't go down, and they could have been up instead of 2, but up 15 at half easily. But we definitely in the second half I thought dug our heels in and competed well, and I thought offensively we're more efficient. Defensively we were more connected, and we're able to turn the tables there in the second half and do some good things. And obviously the semifinals of Carson Newman, just like the game here, I think you could make cases both ways. I thought we played really well. I thought Carson Newman didn't play nearly as well as they're capable of. They got a really good team. Just one of those deals. Sometimes it happens in sports. One team is at the top of their game, the other team lays an egg, and that's how it comes out. But I thought, from our standpoint, I thought we were really good. I thought we did a really good job defensively. I thought we were in tune and connected. I thought obviously when you shoot the ball like that, we were really shot the ball at a high level, both halves, but it gave us energy. And we used that energy to really fly around, be active defensively. I thought we did a really good job on Clark and on Williams, trying to make things hard for them. They're still, got their points. They're great players. They're going to do that. We try to make it hard for them, difficult for them, and then obviously we expected that Carson would zone us, just the way they had been playing, and they'd had success with it, and we had hurt them the first two times when they had played man. We'd scored a lot of points, so it was expected that they would zone us, and I thought, we, like anything, the best zone offense, it sounds trite, but the best zone offense is one where you make shots. We got good looks, we knocked them down, and again, when you combine that with playing good defense, and again, they missed shots that they normally knock in. It wasn't perfect defense by any stretch, but all those factors together led to a large margin there at the end. But so we went into the finals feeling good about ourselves, and had played really 3 straight good halves. First half against Tusculum was horrendous, and then the last 3 halves we felt like we had performed at a high level, and so we went in there feeling good about our team, how we were playing, and so that's kind of going in there, we had a pretty good feel for our performances heading into that, obviously a big game.
On the Carson Newman game, that win sent you to your 5th consecutive South Atlantic Conference Championship title game, where you faced the Queens Royals, a team that leading up to that you had played 2 really tough games against, to win at our place here on basically a buzzer beater, and then overtime loss at their place. And probably a million different storylines we could discuss from that game in particular, but we come out just on a little bit short in that one, a 75-72 loss to the Royals. So wherever you want to start, just go ahead and start talking about that one.
Well, obviously it was it's a difficult one. I thought our guys, I said this yesterday, I really thought our guys dug deep. I thought we gave it a great shot in terms of effort. We just didn't play well enough to win. When we needed, quite frankly, better performances from some guys. You could take an offensive look, but even to me defensively, the job we did individually and the job we did collectively, I thought we Camps really dominated the game. 29 points in 20 minutes, and we let him. He did, I think he had 27 of those points at either, layups or free throws. He had one jumper from the nail, and there's not a whole lot of intrigue as to what he's going to do. Camps is a guy that plays the way he plays, a great player, and you're either going to match his physicality and match his intensity, or you're not. And so I think the process of recovery starts with owning the performance, right? I mean, there's no recovery if you don't own the performance. And I've got to do a better job, with these guys, coaching them. They got to do. We got some guys that got to play better. The difference is when we play Queens are not, they're not great. We've played, I think, 125 minutes of basketball, and I think there's a 3-point separation. We had our chances yesterday. They made the better plays down the stretch. You look at all 3 games, really what it came down to is inside the final, 2-3 minutes, when it was at their place, obviously some great plays by Daniel Carr to come back and lead them back to victory. We had the lead in the final minute here. I thought, Trayvon Shaw made some huge plays down the stretch, the lob to E and the jumper there to win it. And I thought yesterday, they as a group, Agassi had the last couple points, but Camp's on top of his game and certainly was the biggest factor. But again, we gotta all of us, starting with me, have to do better, and we get a chance to bounce back this week in the regionals, and looking forward to that. I think the guys are excited. It's an honor and a privilege to be playing this time of year. So many teams are not. So, we obviously would have loved to have it here, but we didn't get it done. So now we go there, and now it's about bouncing back and trying to make sure we're ready to go on Saturday against an excellent Pfeiffer team.
Well, and if you look at the numbers, you talked about this before we started recording. If you look at just the pure numbers, Queen shoots 42% from the field, 1 for 15 from 3. If you tell you that before the game, you're probably thinking, well, this is probably a big win for the Rail Splitters, but the 2 things really stand out. Don't want to labor on these things, but the 13-point difference at the free throw line, and then also the turnovers in the second half. So how did you guys kind of process that loss after the game?
Well, I think those are the 2 things that, when you look at it, obviously hard to overcome the free throw disparity. When you could get into, how the game was officiated or what have you, but I don't want to, lose any money. So we'll just say that, at the end of the day, you got to live with the calls and you got to play through that stuff. And that wasn't necessarily where we lost the game. If we do a better job defensively, if we, again, have some guys a little better, we make some more shots, we give ourselves a chance. Queens didn't really make shots either, at least, shots from jump shots, and neither did we. So that wasn't the difference. But the free throw disparity was huge, and I thought, the turnovers. I thought, we tried to play in the second half because we had 4 turnovers in the first half. We had 12 in the second half. Second half, I thought we played in crowds, and we tried to make passes that weren't there. And both those things are a recipe for disaster. Offensively, and it gave them some transition points. It gave them some run-out points. It took possessions away from us. And the 3-point game, you turn it over 16 times. Against a team like Queens, that's the thing that as you get to it and look, they're as good as anybody in the country. So the line that you have to get to beat Queens is extremely high. And if you're banking on, referees' calls or bounce of a ball, that stuff's out of your control. The stuff in your control is you got to be great. You got to take care of the ball. You certainly got to be unbelievably sound defensively. You can't lose physicality. You have a lot of things you got to do inside the game to give yourself a chance against a great team. And we just didn't do a good enough job with the things that we can control to get the job done against them. And so, again, I think it's one of those deals where, in the locker room yesterday and, on the way back, at dinner last night, I think, guys were obviously disheartened. I think for the most part, guys are owning the performance, which will allow us to recover and bounce back. And because there's really no time to sulk or pout about it. What's lost is lost, and now you have to get on it. You have to turn your attention. That's the thing. Is I think as a coach, and I want the players to be this way. You win, you got to learn from it and let it go. You lose, you got to learn from it and let it go, and you have to get on to, the next thing. And so to sit around and pout or mope or stew about it doesn't really, do us any good. What we need to do is learn from it, let it go, and then move forward and be better for it. Understand why we came up short, what we got to do to get a little better this week, and so we can play better, more solid basketball for longer on both sides of the ball. Because, this is, we always say we have 2 goals every year, and that's to, hit our head in our ceiling every single game, and to be at our best when it matters most. Well, now is when it matters most. So now is the time you want to be at your best. And so hopefully the loss, if we take it the right way, we'll learn from it. We'll see those things, and it'll be fuel for us in terms of what we need to do to improve. So if we're fortunate enough to be in that situation again, we can play a little bit better, give ourselves a better chance. But again, credit to Queens, outstanding basketball team, very deserving of the tournament championship, regional host, all that stuff. They've got an outstanding basketball team, and they'll be an incredibly tough out, wherever they play, but particularly at home in Charlotte.
Well, and regardless, that loss, it hurts, but it doesn't end the season. You're still going into the tournament, 7th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance, and hoping to make another deep postseason run. And it all starts with Pfeiffer on Saturday in Charlotte, North Carolina. Me and you both haven't really looked at them a ton, but a quick glance at them. They lead the country in scoring by a significant margin. Probably one of the better 7 seeds in the nation you're going to draw, because if you look at some of the numbers, they've already hit 400 3-pointers this season. The Conference Carolina's regular season co-champ. So what have you seen with this Pfeiffer team?
Well, I'm just starting to kind of get into them, because we're trying to put yesterday behind us first, and but just the initial thoughts are, I don't know how many 7 seeds are 26-4. The answer would probably be not many. So outstanding team. I think they really, their scoring numbers are remarkable. I think their pace of play, how fast they play, how hard they push the ball. They've got tremendous shooting. I think they're first in the country in scoring, maybe first or second in the country in made threes. Them and Newberry are right there. They turn people over at an alarming rate, 24 times a game, which triggers their transition. I think they're the number 1 in the country in that category, forcing turnovers. So they present a myriad of challenges. We turned it over 16 times against half-court man yesterday. So seeing full-court press, run and jump, and all that stuff, we're going to have to obviously, be ball tough. We have to defend the 3-point line. Transition defense will be huge. Guard the basketball, all that stuff. When you get to this stage, for the most part, everybody's really good. You look at the Southeast region from top to bottom. The 1-8 games, Queens, Wingate. That's a really tough draw for Queens. And then you just go down the list. There's nobody. Pembroke's a great team. You got Limestone, who shared the championship and won the tournament, and they're 6. Augusta, Columbus State. You just have really, really good teams, 1 through 8, and it should be the margins likely, not just for us but for all teams, will be small. It comes down to probably who can execute and figure out ways to close in close games, and so that'll be the challenge for all 8 teams this weekend. But I think Pfeiffer, just the initial look, and like I said, we'll get deeper into it today, is really, really good, and I can't imagine, again, I haven't seen the whole bracket, but I can't imagine there's a better 7 seed out there in terms of what they do. And a little bit like Newberry, the way they play, it's a little bit out of your control because of they play so fast. They shoot the ball from 3, and if they get going, they put up 130, 140 point games this year and blown people out. Lees McRae, who really is a pretty solid team. I think it was like a 45-point game. They're capable of really, like Newberry, really hammering you if they're at the top of their game.
Well, I think this is probably too simplistic a question, but just from a coaching perspective, seeing how the last couple weeks have gone out, what's it going to take for you guys to make another deep postseason run?
Well, there's no secrets. I mean, at this time of year against these type of teams, you defend or you lose. I mean, we got to be better defensively, and we're not been bad, but we were not good enough against Queens, and it's not just Queens. You're going to play those type of teams again. The line is at its highest point at this time of year. Everybody's 26-4, or 24-5, or whatever they are. Everybody's really good. Everybody's got good players. Everybody's really well coached. Every game is competitive. You defend or you lose. Offensively, you got to. The most important thing in basketball is always to take care of the ball. I mean, basketball is the one sport that everything's tied together. You run good offense, it helps your defense. You play good defense, it helps your offense, because you play good defense, you rebound the ball, it gets you out in transition, and you can run. You run good offense, and either you score, or you take good shots. It allows you to set your defense and play 5-on-5. I thought in the first half, we were frantic offensively yesterday. Our shot selection left a lot to be desired. In the second half, I thought we took better shots. We just didn't take care of the ball. And again, playing in crowds and trying to make passes that aren't there. So, in simplistic terms, we got to play well. We got to be really elite defensively. We've got to take care of the ball offensively, and we've got to take good shots. We've got to go good to great. All the things that are hallmarks of really good basketball teams. And there's no secrets. There's no magic plays. There's no magic defense. There's none of that stuff. It's really just about the fundamentals, executing at the highest level when you play great competition, and starting on Saturday, this will be competition at the very highest level. So we'll have to be at our best. This is what we work for here the last 6.5 months, is to get in these situations, playing games with these type of stakes, and so this is about as much fun as you can have playing and coaching. So we're looking forward to it, and obviously tremendous challenge starting Saturday. We'll do everything we can to get ready to play our best, because anything less than our best, and our season's over.